Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. If you're new, welcome. If this is the first video you're ever seeing, I'm glad you're here and I hope you enjoy this speed build. So, hey guys, it's been a while since I did a voiceover last, and I felt like since this video is very long, that a voiceover is necessary, and that way I can chat with you guys a little bit of my thought process behind this build, a little bit about the new pack that we got, and that way you guys aren't just listening to a bunch of songs on repeat, because I know that would be boring for a 47-minute video. So, since this one is pretty long, grab yourself a coffee, a tea, a lemonade, get yourself a snack, and get cozy and chill with me, and I hope you enjoy this one. So, I decided to build a 80s high school with the new high school years expansion pack. And you guys are probably very sick of seeing high school speed builds all over your YouTube page since this pack came out, and I'm sorry that I am also one of those people contributing to that. But I did already also post a family home speed build, which I actually created before this one, so I did post that one already on my channel. If you haven't seen it, you should go check it out. It is an 80s family home, where I used a lot of stuff from the new expansion pack, and I also used quite a bit of items from other packs too. So I did use some stuff from Cats and Dogs, Seasons, Get Famous, all those great packs that I use in almost every single build. So, and I use those a lot just because that's kind of what gives you the 80s feel, that retro vibe. A lot of it is from a bunch of different packs, especially like the bowling pack. I love that one paired with Get Famous just because a lot of it is so retro. And one of my favorite things about this new high school pack is it's supposed to be like kind of this vintage type furniture stuff, like with the whole thrift store thing, where everything is kind of upcycled, and a lot of it is like this older eclectic style of furniture, which I really enjoy. And one of my favorite things about this pack is just the selection of beds and chairs that we get. It's amazing. I can't remember the last time we've had this many options from one pack for beds and furniture in general. The wardrobes, like the dressers and everything, are like super cute and really pretty. And of course we did get our classic gamer setups in this pack, so you guys can now make your Sims some content creators, YouTubers I guess, with this pack, which is different from Get Famous a little bit because you do have like that new monitor setup, and we no longer have to create our triple monitor out of TVs with moved objects. So one of my favorite things about this pack is just the build items are really good, and we got a lot of them. Now, I will say, when I started building this high school, I didn't do any gameplay yet with the pack. So I was building this simply out of aesthetics and making it look like your classic 80s old high school. Especially with like the peachy coral and the teal colors. That's definitely a color choice of the 80s, I would say, besides all of the like neon colors, which is what I normally use in all of my retro builds that I do. But I thought that this would be quite different enough from what all the other content creators were making for their high schools, because a lot of them, I know that they were building to make it easy for your gameplay, or they were making them look really fancy, like prep schools, making them look like super nice, like almost university style. But mine, I wanted to keep it more classic, just, you know, that retro feel, which I enjoy building a lot of the time. I'm sure you guys know a lot of my speed builds are like these retro vintage type buildings, and so I wanted to carry that on into the high school pack and create something a little bit different from what everyone else was kind of doing. So yes, this school technically does have the technology that was available in the 80s. So there's no flat screen TVs. There is only like tiny little box computers, which I think is like the cheapest one you can get in The Sims. There's only a couple of them. And then only whiteboards in the classrooms, no TVs in there, and everything's just meant to look like stuck in the 80s on the inside. And the tile that actually came with this pack is perfect for getting that like old feel. Just the colors that we were given in this pack are like really nice, and I love them. So another thing I do want to mention is when I was starting this build, or when I had the idea of doing an 80s high school, I originally wanted to try and build Hawkins High School from Stranger Things. And I started kind of developing a floor plan based on like, you know, what the front of it looked like and the gym and all those things. But then I realized I do not have the time or the energy to go through a bunch of episodes in every single season to see the exact layout of the high school and to get every single detail down, because I know a lot of you are probably like hardcore Stranger Things fans, and you would call me out like, oh, that is not where the gym was. The gym was on the left side of the school, not the right side of the school, and that was not Nancy's locker. Nancy's locker was in the back on this side, and there was like an outdoor walkway and whatever. Like, I just know some of you guys would come for me and say this isn't accurate, it's not 100%, and so I didn't want to try and make the high school if I didn't know exactly what it was like. So I just decided to go with a basic 80s high school. I just felt like it was easier that way, and then I could have more creativity with the actual layout and where all the classrooms were and how big the gym was and things like that. And so this right here, I'm working on the gym right now, and I actually had to widen it quite a bit because I didn't put in the basketball play area, the basketball hoops and stuff until after I had built the room. So I did have to expand it quite a bit to fit some like bleacher type seating and the actual size of those basketball games. So anyway, this side is the gym. This whole build is only one story. It's not 2 stories. So if you do want to actually use this for your gameplay, having your Sims go to high school, it is very easy to play in. It's very accessible, and your Sims do not have to go up and down a bunch of stairs just to get to class. So the only 2-story part is the gym and the upstairs area, which I created out to the roof, like for maintenance and such. Is only accessible to faculty, since I used that new door that's only for faculty. And so I feel like the overall goal for this build was just to make it not too big to be able to fit in everything that was needed, but still give it a bit of creativity, because as I said, I didn't do any gameplay before I built this. So I did actually put in more than 2 classrooms, which I didn't know the gameplay would only let you have 2 classrooms. So when I did actually do some gameplay with this, just to test it out, see how the pack works with the high school. Also, I had to do that to get screenshots as well, since I couldn't turn it into a residential and have a sim on the lot to take screenshots like I normally do. I had to go into live mode, make sure the weather was good, sunny, not raining, to get good screenshots, and believe me, that took such a long time, because apparently in this world, it thunderstorms a lot. And I did have the season set for summer, like right into fall, but it was like crazy thunderstorming every time I loaded into the game to try and get screenshots. So anyway, just in case you didn't know, at least in my save file, it was raining almost every single time in this game, and my Sims couldn't even do their after-school activities on the football field. So the screenshots were difficult to get, but I did get a lot of them, which is another reason why this video is so long, is because I have so many screenshots at the end of this video, and I just wanted to include all of them because they looked so good, and I wanted to show off my beautiful large creation of a high school. So we are just kind of adding some detail into the gym here, and just so you know, only the bottom row of bleachers and air quotes works. The second row, your Sims can't get to those seats, but I didn't want to make the gym any wider than it was, and you're really not gonna have that many Sims in the gym all at the same time anyway, so just the bottom row is good. And then I added those little foldy chairs for the actual players, which I know that they won't actually play a basketball game, but listen, it makes it look good, okay? It makes it look filled and more accurate. And that's normally how I like to do my builds. If you're new here, I don't do a lot of gameplay, and so I kind of add stuff in my builds just to make it look more realistic, more accurate, fill in some space. And I normally don't use a whole lot of clutter objects, just because when I'm building, I kid you not, like this build, I had a solid 5 hours of footage on it, and so I was really trying not to put in so much detail that I'd have to cut all of it out of this video. So I get a lot of footage when I build, and it takes me a while to go through my my items and find the stuff that I'm thinking about. And so yeah, I don't use a lot of clutter objects, but I use just enough to fill in some of the space and I'll make it look so empty, but not too much where it's like extremely overcrowded, especially because this is such a big lot and there's already so much going on it. I do not want to make your game lag more than it probably already will with the game being so buggy. So I do my best to help you guys out and not make it as like empty as the houses that are already put in this pack, but just give it a little bit extra, not too much. So this is the back side of the high school, and I apologize, I jump around a lot between different rooms and different spaces of the high school while I'm building this, just because ideas pop in my head and I'm like, oh, I want to do this in this area, let me do that real quick before I forget. So we're moving to the outside back patio area, I guess is what you'd call it. So we did do some doors off of the gym in the back, simply because of, you know, the fire procedure. No, I just felt like it would look better if we had some doors back there to match with the doors that go out to the locker room hallway back there. So, and now we're moving over to the front. But I did create all those doors on the back, so you'll see in a bit I do add 2 more buildings at the back of the school that are detached from the actual high school. And this front area right here that I just added windows on is going to be the front office. And then those 2 boxes are the bathrooms, which are off of the classroom hallway. And then this room in the back here on the right is going to be the library, and then the other side where I put those windows are going to be the locker rooms. And so at this point I'm kind of messing around with the layout because I was trying to figure out where all the cafeteria tables were going to go, where I was going to put the actual cafeteria setup. And so I kind of moved some stuff around just to fit that in. And I ended up with a total of, let's see, 3 classrooms inside of the actual high school, and then I did 2 in an outside building, and then 1 outside is actually not a classroom, it's a teacher's lounge. And then I also did a greenhouse, which also is kind of a classroom. I did add like a club thing in there, but I heard that clubs can't meet on this lot, so you know, that's just for decoration now at this point, I guess. Anyway, so this is the cafeteria. I assume that you didn't need too much back here. Probably functions about the same as the Discovery University one, or the one we got with the Dine Out pack. So I just added like a sink and a fridge behind the counter, but besides that, pretty simple. And then I really wanted to create like these double door like these open double doors that you normally see in high schools, because normally you have double doors for the hallways, but they're not closed all the time, right? And we don't have any doors that just stay open. So I actually used these archways that came with the pack, and then these 2 doors from, what is it from? Discover University, I think. I used a lot of Discover University in this build, so I'm sorry if you don't have that pack. But you can just delete those walls, or those, well, the walls won't even be there if you download it. But anyway, I wanted to create them to be open just to give it more of that like actual high school feel, where they're not archways, but they do have like doors, you know? And this right here in the back is the greenhouse that I built, and this is like the starting idea. I ended up changing the windows and such, just so that it matched a little bit. It was a little more cohesive, and I ended up adding like a whole boatload of plants in there, making it an actual classroom, because I know in high school we did have like a greenhouse area. In my high school, at least, we had a greenhouse. We didn't have like chairs in there. It wasn't like an actual classroom, but it was something that was alongside our like agriculture classes that we had. So I felt like this is something that a lot of Sims builders weren't adding into their high school builds, and I definitely wanted to have it in this one, especially because we have so many plants in the game now, because we did get that plant kit, and we just have like so many good plants. So I wanted to use them in this build, especially because I wasn't going to do a whole lot of landscaping on this one. I wanted to make sure there was enough greenery. And so I actually end up moving this whole greenhouse building to the other side of the lot. And then on this side where it is right now is where I add the additional 2 classrooms and the teacher's lounge. And then now we're going to work on the front entrance area. So what I did do is I used that new tile, and it ends up looking really, really nice. It like fits in perfectly with like the 80s feel that I was going for. And of course I forget when I put the tile down, but you'll see it eventually. Oh, and while we're over here, can we talk about the parking lot spaces? Because first of all, why would they add parking lot spaces with like little painted parking spots if, for one, Sims can't drive, and for 2, they also put like a wheelchair, like disabled parking space. I'm wondering if that's a hint for something that they're planning on adding to The Sims. I know they're trying to be more inclusive, because a lot of people have been complaining because they literally just added the pronouns, and then they just added the like sexual orientation thing for all your Sims in the update. And so I'm wondering if they're trying to make it more inclusive so that everyone can create a Sim that is just like them, and maybe they'll add like crutches, a wheelchair, like stuff like that in the game. But I feel like where that might go wrong is stairs. I highly doubt they're going to create any way for those disabled Sims to get up the stairs unless they just like teleport, which would make the most sense considering mods that we have with spiral staircases. Like your Sims will just teleport to the top. And same thing with elevators, your Sims teleport. So I don't know. I wish we would have stuff like that in the game, but I see a lot of Simmers saying that they really don't want that in the game because they don't want to feel like it's exactly like how they're living their life, you know? And I get that, but we'll see. I do think it's interesting they put parking spots though, because considering we don't have driving, we don't have cars in the game. I mean, we have cars that like drive around in the map, right? But I feel like that's something they really didn't have to add in there, considering they have a school bus on the lot, and the school bus is, I mean, that's basically what's would be the transportation for your Sims to school. Oh, and I'm realizing I forgot to put in like a bike rack with like some little bikes. Oh well, you guys can add that in if you want it, if you have Discover University, if you have those bikes, or I think we got a bike from the cottage living pack as well, so you guys can add that in if you want that, if you end up using this pack. That is something that they used a lot in Stranger Things. They always rode their bikes everywhere, and that's of course something that I forgot. But anyway, I'm just adding some railings to the outside, making it look a little bit more like a high school, and not just some open space with stairs. And I didn't really know at this point how to fill in like all of this outdoor space, because I know for a fact there wasn't going to be that many Sims walking up here to go to school, right? There's like going to be a max of maybe like 20 of them is what I was thinking, which I think once you actually get into gameplay, it's what, 8 in each classroom, so about like 16, and then a couple faculty members. Yeah, so there's not going to be a whole lot of Sims on this lot at the same time. I'm wondering if that's something you can change. Is that dependent on like how many teen Sims you have living in this world? Or do teen Sims from like all the other worlds go to high school here? Like, that's what's interesting to me, right? We have a whole world that came with this high school pack with a high school lot, but we don't have the ability to put high schools on any other lot, do we? I mean, I haven't tried, but I'm assuming since this lot is special and has the football field in the back, you can't change the lot type to anything else, so I'm assuming you can't have a high school lot on any other lot besides this one, which is really sad. Like, I wish that I could put a high school in Brindleton Bay, or in like, I don't know, Silva Dorado would be pretty cool, but that would be weird, right? But I wish we could build a high school somewhere else, because then you could have different names for high schools. Like, this one is still Copperdale High School, the same as the original one. And I don't know, for an expansion pack, yes, we got a lot of items in it, and yes, I'm very happy that we got that many items. But, you know, just having one lot for one singular high school when we have so many worlds in this game, I don't know, it's just weird, right? So let me know your thoughts about that. I'm actually really curious to know, because you guys probably do more gameplay than I do, if you've tried to build a high school in another area, another world, or if you can build like a high school lot and it just doesn't run as a high school. Like, I don't know. I haven't looked into it yet. But I'm assuming, I don't know, if it did work, we'd probably just have to make like a field or something for those after school activities in the back. But again, that's not like a prerequisite item for the actual high school. I don't know. I wish we had like a little bit more creativity with it, which I'm happy that we actually get to demolish the lot and make it something different, because based on the actual trailer that we got, I was so scared that it was just going to be one of those things where you could change the colors and you couldn't bulldoze the lot and you couldn't change it at all. And I was actually fully prepared for it to be that way, and I was like, I'm not going to be able to build a high school. Like, that's going to suck. It's going to look like sad. But no, I'm happy that we could actually like bulldoze this lot and do a whole high school ourselves, because that does give us a lot of creativity, just for having that in the game. But anyway, this is the greenhouse. Like I said, it's not an actual classroom, but I did put desks and stuff in here, so that you could pretend it is, or if you want it just to be like an after school club space, for like your plant enthusiasts club, something like that, you can. But I know that actual clubs can't meet on this lot, but for like gameplay purposes, if you want to get screenshots in here, if you want to pretend like your Sims actually have meetings here, then you can, and you have access to it. And I think this one actually turned out really cute. I love the way this looks with all the greenery and all the plants, and then I did the terracotta tile, and yeah, I love it. I think it was a good touch. I don't know what else I would have put there if I didn't put a greenhouse there, to be honest. So now we're working on the front entryway / cafeteria. I did end up putting down these tiles, and I'm putting in this wall to kind of divide the front walk-in area versus the cafeteria. That one thing I wish that we had in the game are those big glass blocks, right? Because they're not quite windows. I know you guys had them in your high schools too. They were like big glass blocks that were used as like dividers almost, and some people have them like as a bathroom window. My parents have one by their bathtub. It's just glass blocks. You can't see in or out, but it lets in sunlight, right? And I wish we had that in the game because that would have been perfect to put there, but I just kind of simulated it with those windows from, I think it was Snowy Escape, and then like tiles on the wall. We can just pretend. I did the same thing with my diner build where I made it kind of I pretended like it was those glass blocks, but it was just windows and tiles. I wish it was the glass blocks so bad. I wish we had those in this game. We don't have any windows in this game that are like privacy glass kind of thing. Like we don't have any like frosted over glass. Like I know Snowy Escape, we had one that had like a window that just had like blank panels in them that you couldn't see in or out of. I don't know. I wish we had more of those options. It definitely would have fit perfectly in this build if we did get that. And so now I'm just adding the tile kind of in all the areas that I was looking to have it in, which was going to be like the hallways and then the locker rooms and stuff like that. And then this area, like I said, is the front office, and then that back area is the library. And I ended up going with that dark green carpet in the classrooms just because I felt like it was more natural to what you would have as high school carpet. It was never like a light carpet. All of my schools, like my elementary school, my middle school, my high school, we all had really dark, it was like a dark patterned carpet. And so I feel like that carpet, which I think is it base game? I don't remember. But that carpet works really well to the vibe that I was going with. And I also ended up using the Womp Womp, is that what it's called, as the school mascot for my school, just because I felt like it fit a little bit better. It's a little more weird, you know, so I thought it was cute. And I'm trying to think of like what else I can talk about, because I've talked about my thoughts behind the build, my whole process with some of these rooms, my thoughts on the pack. How are you guys liking the like new LED lights and stuff in the game? Like we got those new LED strips that are meant to go up like at the top of the walls, up by the roof line. I guess just the ceiling. But those LED strips, I've used them in a couple of my builds so far that I've been testing. Some of them are not on YouTube yet, but they might be by the time this video is out. I don't know what order I'm posting them. But I found that the light coming off of them is like a little interesting, I guess. It's like just such a straight line of light, and I feel like in real life with those light strips, it kind of gives more of a glow effect, and I feel like they could have done it a little bit better, similar to like the lava lamps we have in the game from Strangerville. Those give you that glow effect, glows in like lights up the whole room basically, but the LED light strips are just like a little weird. I don't know. It just looks weird. Anyway, I only used them a few times. I haven't messed around with them too much, but I just felt like the harsh line is not it. So at this point in the build, I was making the front office to have like a desk worker and then just a desk for somebody in the back, which I was originally thinking, oh, that can just be like the principal's desk. And then I was going through the build, and I didn't change it until the end of the build, that I said I need to actually have a principal's office. because I didn't have a designated space for the principal, and I don't know if the principal can even use like a specific desk or like office space for themselves. But I ended up changing this front hallway area to fit in a principal's office, because I realized that was actually quite important and I probably need that in the build. So that locker hallway just ends up a tiny bit smaller, but it doesn't look bad and it actually fits in pretty well. And I noticed that like with the high school, it said that I need to have like 7 lockers or something, but it doesn't count like the individual lockers in a cluster as that amount. I don't remember if it was exactly 7, but it wasn't a big amount, and I was trying to save my game and it kept saying I didn't have enough lockers placed down, and I was like, what? There's like 20 of them in this hallway. So I think it counted like each set of 3 or set of 2 only counts as 1 locker, which is really weird to me that it was like that, but I guess they did it out of making gameplay easier so that only one sim has access to like 1 locker in that cluster of lockers, and your sims aren't like piling up on top of each other, something like that maybe. So I could get that perspective if that's what they did it for, but I thought it was weird that they said I needed like whatever amount of lockers and the ones that I had didn't count. So now I did jump from that one classroom back here because I realized these bookshelves are perfect for the library, and so I wanted to go ahead and place those down and figure out the layout of the library since it is really small. My high school library was actually like huge. It took up like the whole left side of our school, and I tell you what, I was only ever in the library when we had to use the computers for a class, and I never went in there to actually get a book. Like, I honestly don't think during like my whole high school career did I ever check out a book from the library. Nope. Don't think I ever did. So anyway, this library is really small. I tried to squeeze in a few desks, just kind of in the back, and they are functional, because I did have my sim sit at each of those desks just to make sure that they could get there, and they can. And then I did one desk with a computer on it, so that is like the community computer. That is the only computer on the lot that your sims can use. Well, that's not true. I've got computers like in the front office area, but those are like designated just for the faculty members, so sims should not be, your teen sims should not be using those. Anyway, these 2 classrooms right here are actually the classrooms that your sims will attend class in. All of the other classrooms do not actually work as classrooms, I guess because they only have 2 classes technically, which is weird. Like, your sims will go to the same classroom every single time for a different class, which is interesting how they did that. Definitely not very accurate to how my high school experience was. And I know this pack, from what everyone else is saying, it's more kind of focused on like American high school, just because we have football instead of or I guess they call it American football because it's football and not rugby or something like that. I don't know what rugby is. So I don't know, I thought it was weird that they did your sim goes exactly back to the same class every single time, but it's a different class. But again, I didn't know about that until after I built all these classrooms, and so each classroom I did to be a separate actual class. And so the first classroom that we did, I believe I made the English room. This one is obviously the science lab. And then the one in between the science lab and the English room is the history classroom. And so I tried adding some stuff on the walls just to make it seem more relevant to the subject that was taught in those classrooms. But once you're in game, that doesn't even matter because my sim was attending science class in the English classroom. So this can be used more for like storytelling, gameplay storytelling, if that's something that you like doing. and you need an 80s high school to do that, you are more than welcome to use this lot, and it is already on the gallery for you guys. And my origin ID is Lean Cuisine 2, as always, and you can find it on there. I think I still have it showcased on my gallery page, so you can easily find it there. And I did use a lot of like 80s hashtags. You probably find it under the hashtag 80s high school as well, because I'm sure that's not used very often or for that many builds yet. So I would say this build is like super good for if you want to make like a machinima type thing. If you do a lot of like story videos, then this would be a good lot for you to use, especially if you want it to take place in the 80s and you don't want any other technology involved, which also might be difficult because now your Sims are constantly on their phones, and in the 80s that just wouldn't be possible. So yeah, that's one thing that kind of made me upset, was since they updated the game with like the phones and adding the social media onto the phones, like my Sims would literally nonstop be on their phone, like sitting in class waiting, on the phone, walking to some other part of the school, on the phone, and they literally wouldn't take their face off the phone, which I wish they would fix, because that is so annoying to look at and deal with, and it kind of ruins the whole vibe of my like 80s retro builds, because all of a sudden your Sims are like not even in that era. So yeah, that's interesting. And I did actually build this in my retro like 80s save file that I have with all of my 80s builds in it, and it's gonna take me a while, but I am working on trying to change every single lot in that save file to be like an 80s, you know, like theme, like an 80s world, you know. So I'm trying to renovate all the houses so that they don't have the newer technology, they don't have flat screen TVs, like none of that stuff. And it's a lot to do considering the amount of packs that I have, the amount of worlds that there are, the amount of lots that there are. So, you know, it'll happen eventually, but that might be something that I need your guys' help with, to fill out some lots in there. And I really haven't done that many houses that are like retro themed. I've mostly done community lots, just because those are easier to do with that retro style. The houses, it's really difficult to create so many different houses that are still identical to that time frame. Anyway, so it is my goal to put out a save file that is 80s retro themed, but again, with me having a full-time job and trying to do this on the side, it's just probably not going to happen for a couple years. So bear with me. If that's something that you want, definitely let me know. I feel like if it's something that you guys really want me to do, then I will work on kind of doing more lots and renovating those places. I probably won't make them all into YouTube videos, but I'll definitely create the lots to have them in that file. If that's something that you guys want, let me know in the comments. That way I know if you guys actually do want something like that for your game. And again, I may need your help with building these like old lots with no new technology in them, just so that it all fits in within the time frame. But anyway, this building in the back here, the left classroom that we did was the math classroom, and I also made that teacher would be the soccer coach as well. That's why I added in the like little soccer type things. And the classroom in the middle is the art classroom, which again isn't an actual classroom, but your Sims can use it for their skills if you want them to get their art skill up, or maybe if you do want to do like story type gameplay, your Sim can go there after school and work on art. And then this classroom right here, well, it's not a classroom, it's a teacher's lounge. It was going to be a classroom, but then I literally had no idea what other classroom I could put there. So I just made it into a teacher's lounge, and it turned out really cute. Everything fit in there really nice. I did a little kitchenette type thing, and I'm just now realizing I didn't put tile there. Oh well, that's fine. it's not going to catch on fire, right? But I did add like a little round table, and then just like a little couch seating area with like an old box TV as well. And then I did use those faculty only doors with the frosted glass. Oh, see, we do have frosted glass in the game. It's just only on a couple doors. We don't have actual windows for it. That's depressing. Anyway, so no students can go in or out of this area. This is for faculty only, but again, in your game, your teachers will really only go to the cafeteria and then back to their classroom. They really don't do much else besides that, so it's really not that useful, but it did help kind of fill in that extra room that I had. And then right here off of the gym are the locker rooms, and I did have to cut out a bit of this just because I was trying to figure out the best layout for fitting in a bunch of toilet stalls as well as lockers, sinks, and a couple showers. So I messed around with that a little bit, which I cut out, but you guys don't care because you're just seeing like the final product and how it officially comes together. And so I was wanting to make them about the same size, but with the way that it's laid out, it was really difficult to do that. I think I got them pretty close because I put the same amount of bathroom stalls with the same amount of showers, and just one of them has more lockers than the other, which is fine. It doesn't really matter anyway. But they turned out really cute, and I'm happy with it. I don't think there's anything else that I would have changed with the locker rooms. I kind of fit in everything that I needed. And so this front area right here is what I was talking about that I turned into the principal's office. And then I just moved those lockers to the opposite side of the wall, and those double doors will go right into the principal's office. And then the principal also has their own window and their own private door out to the front entryway here. And so I'd imagine that if your teen had to go see the principal, they would wait outside the front office if it was like in the morning before school started, and then they'd be let in through the double doors. They would meet with the principal, and then the principal would let them out through her faculty door into the main area of the school where the cafeteria is. And we are kind of getting to the end of the video here, you guys, so I'm sorry if I blabbed too much and I talked your ears off, but I feel like it was a lot more entertaining for you guys to hear me talk about the build and the pack in general, besides just hearing some music like I normally do. And I felt like that was important for this video because it was so much longer than my normal videos and it was such a big build. I spent so much time on this build, I'm not even kidding. Anyway, I'm gonna finish up talking, and I'm gonna let you guys kind of enjoy the last finishing touches on this build, and then it's gonna go right into the screenshots, which there's a lot of them, but I promise you they look really, really nice, and I'm so happy for you guys to see the final outcome of all these rooms and being able to see them outside of a speed build. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you liked it, please give it a little like, and if you want to see more speed builds, if you want to see more content from me, please subscribe to my channel. It really helps me out, and I hope to see you all in the next one. Bye guys.